Be quiet while I record this way.
You are a rude, terrible person.
Hello. Today we're at Bowlees at the moment. We've got a bit of a zone 2 recovery run to do, which I think is going to work out at probably about 4 or 5 miles. And we're going to take a little trip up to, well, what's known as England's highest waterfall, but it's not really. But we're going to go up to high force from low force, and yeah, I'm hoping with all the rain that's been down, should be a pretty good good sight today. And I've got Jill with me again, so yeah, so it should just be a nice easy zone 2 run, keeping the heart rate nice and low again, and just a little bit of a chat about why we do sort of training at zone 2. I'll drop a couple of links below, which is to a Training Peaks article about zone 2 training and heart rate training, and kind of what the benefits are of it. And yeah, but right, let's get cracking and see if I can show you some nice scenery. Now, at least the rain's staying off at the moment, but if I show you around, it's pretty grey, but let's keep our fingers crossed we might get away with it. Pretty quickly you can hear the falls of low force just as you come to this whole bridge here. Got that there. It is a bit boggy, but I'll see if I can run around this way while we wait for Jill to catch up. I'll show you the falls from head on. We do a lot of kayaking things down here and stuff like that, but you'd have to have braver bones than me to try it. There it is, and the river's looking pretty hard today, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the river's up, so high force will look sweet. Yeah,
High force would be great.
High force will be class today, won't it?
Yeah.
Right, so let's go. Let's go over the old bridge. So here we go. Very old bridge. Well, the last time I was here, this wasn't. This was getting repaired, and we had to run about 2 miles down that way, all the way around. Nearly ended up getting lost, so we could do a walk up here. Right, on we go. And then pretty quickly, this is it. This is the Teesdale Way. Continues through that way down there and all the way along here up to Cow Green, basically. There they are again. Looking good. Good view, that one. This would be great, this. Cheers. You get a lot of walkers up here, which is it is actually quite busy today for a weekday. But it is a popular walking route, this one, obviously. Thank you. Cheers. But yeah, you can see why it's quite a nice walking route. This side you've got, you see the rest of the all the moors over this side. And it goes all the way up to I think this path goes up to a place called the Cauldron Snout, which is where Cow Green Reservoir empties out, and you go over the dam. And if you can then follow the Cleveland Way. Well, I think it joins the Pennine Way there, I'm not sure. But it goes up Little Dun Fell, where there's a radar station, and all the way along to Crossfell, which is the highest point of the Pennines, where this river, the Tees, starts. The Tyne and the Wear also start there as well. So the three great rivers of the north, they all start in the same place up on Crossfell, which was it's a nice walk up to the top, but you need to be prepared to get your feet wet. It's very boggy. So zone 2 training, kind of what do we mean by that? Well, basically the idea behind it that I'm trying to follow is that I run an 80-20 split. So 80% of my training is done in zone 2. Now you work this out, I'll drop a link and a graphic showing what the difference is. And just get past. Alright. So the idea behind it is you get an approximation of your max heart rate, quite similar to how the sort of Maffetone method of training I talked about in the last video works. And you then take a percentage of that max heart rate and you use that percentage to split into zones, and you sort of get from zone 1 all the way to 5. The idea behind it is, if you do the majority of your sort of training in a low heart rate, your muscles adapt. It improves what's called your mitochondrial density. Now, the mitochondria are structures in the cells, going back to my biology lessons from a long time ago. They're essentially your power stations in your cells. And that's as easy as I can make it sound. But basically they're the structures that break down sugars from chemical energy into movement, kinetic energy. So if you've got higher mitochondrial density, then essentially your muscle fibers are more efficient at processing energy from your body. And one of the other added benefits is the more efficient they are, the more your metabolism can lean on burning fat as energy. And because you're working at lower intensity, it's easier for your body to access those fat stores as energy. If you're going really hard, you're dependent on your glycogen stores in your body. I have to turn around and pick my wife up. And that makes it much more difficult to work out for longer. So yeah, so zone 2 training, basically it's what people refer to as base building. And I say, well, one of my favourite channels that talks about building an aerobic base is VO2 Max Productions. I've referred to him a few times. Very, very good running coach. Lots of great information on his channel. And basically building your aerobic base, I think that lays the foundations for anything else that you would want to do later. And the majority of people don't do it enough. Thanks. So yeah, so I think it's and I've noticed since I've started doing a lot more of this, you can go harder on the harder sessions. You've got to really treat the easy sessions easy. Look at that. It's nice. So yeah, so what I found over training is that, and I was guilty of this, the majority of people, they don't do the easy stuff easy enough, and that kind of stops you from doing your hard stuff as hard as you need to, and you basically end up with this sort of mush in the middle where you're going too hard for too long, and then when you want to go harder to really try and sharpen things up, it doesn't work because you're too tired. So more recently I'm trying to concentrate on really keeping that 80-20 split. Like as we see now, it's just starting to lift a little bit as we come uphill, so we just back off a little bit and go from there. So yeah, so I mean it's a good way to increase the volume of your training and then be able to at the same time keep yourself fresh enough, so if you want to do a tempo session or something like that, you've got the energy in your legs to do it and you'll probably get more out of it. So so an 80-20 split works really well for me. And I've had a bit of advice recently off a girl who runs a blog called Try Jill. She was featured on Triathlon channels. She was featured on Triathlon Taryn's channel, and I reached out to her through Instagram, and she basically recommended something quite similar, sort of taking things easy, really listening to your body through the chemotherapy. She underwent chemotherapy for ovarian cancer when she was in her late 20s, and she trained through that. And basically, yeah, I mean, the ideas I had that I spoke to her about, she basically said, yeah, do that. I mean, it was a case of like, stick to your low base training and try not to push too hard. The focus always has to be on recovery. So I think it's easy to look back on rose-tinted glasses now from the last time I had chemo and probably think it was easier than it was. If you look over that side now, you can start to get an appreciation of the size of the gorge that the waterfall's dug out over God knows how many tens of thousands of years, or maybe even longer that it's been here. I'll see if I can find a sign, see how long it's been here for and things. But quick geology lesson, it's to do with a formation called the windsill, which apparently was when some molten lava ran over the top of some limestone. So you've got a layer of really hard rock that the waterfall can't cut through, and then you've got a vein of limestone which is quite easy for it to cut through, and you end up with this big gorge that the rivers managed to erode and dissolve over hundreds of thousands of years. And it's, you could say it's as big as you get in England really, and the volume of water that goes over it's pretty impressive when the river's high. So we'll see what it's like when we get there. Now I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but you can just hear it rumbling off in the distance at the moment. So we cut through here, and this gives us a little look. Whew. So what we'll do is we'll run around a little bit further up the Pennine, up the Cleveland Way. There's quite a lot of people there at the viewpoint at the moment, so we'll respect the social distancing and give them a bit of time there. But as you come up this way, you'll get a bit of a view of it side on. You can hear it a lot more here. And yeah, it sounds like with the extra water that's been coming down recently, it might be putting on a bit of a show for us today. So here we are at the top. To give you an idea, I won't go too close to the edge, because if you go over the edge today, you are a dead man, and there's no way you're coming out of that. So there's a lot of water going over there today actually. Let's see if we can get round and get it from the other side. That might be a good way to go, babe. Okay, so just for the crack one, grab a few extra miles just while Joe's taking a couple of photos from the top. we'll head along a bit further along the hill, upriver. You can see a little bit further up the valley because when you go It's always a nice view, this one. I always quite like this. Yeah, you go around, you can, if I remember right from when we walked it, you go all the way along this path, goes round a quarry, and there's a big hill just off that one that you can see in the distance there. It runs off the back of that, and you go over it and over some farms, and then join the river again. And it takes you up to the Cauldron Snout waterfall, which is where the dam empties out of Calgreen Reservoir. I think Calgreen's the biggest one around here, but yeah, it sits under Dunfell and Crossfell. It's a nice place to sort of go for a walk as well. So, and there's a lovely little pub there called the Langdon Beck, which is great sort of pub food, especially like last time I was there. I had this like the steak and ale pie was absolutely unreal. So yeah, if you're about, Langdon Beck's nice. Right, so back at the main viewing point now. Here we go, this is looking good today. So the right falls are not quite flooding over, but there's plenty coming over the main fall. And yeah, it's a long way down, a long way down. Now there is quite a funny story about my Uncle Billy, who's probably the luckiest man alive who ever go in the water at the top of that waterfall. Did my dad ever tell you this, babe? We came down here probably about 30 years ago apparently, and I can't remember what happened, but for some reason he went down. See where the rock is? Like as the water sort of kinks before it goes over the edge. There's like where before it first starts dropping down at the top, he went to pick something up and the bank slipped away and he ended up in the water at the top. And luckily, he only got his leg and his arse wet, otherwise he'd have been getting washed over there. But my dad's told us a few times about it and that, so he's that's as close as you ever want to be of to the top of that in the water, because there's a hell of a lot of power behind it. And I think rivers are quite deceiving with the amount of power that they can put behind the water. You wouldn't want to go over there. So yeah, lesson of the day, careful around rivers. So there you go, that's High Force. Not a bad place to go for a run. Here she comes. Back to low fours.
Yay.
So what do you prefer? Running here or running around Akeley?
Running here.
Yeah, it's much nicer, isn't it?
Busy though.
It is busy, it is really busy. I mean, you can see how many people here already. But I suppose it's not raining either, is it? So it's like, got to make the most of it. Yeah, I suppose the difference running in the UK as opposed to running in places like Lanzarote or Colorado, like say Canada gets to run, you've got to take the weather when you can get it. And to be fair, this is sometimes as good as it gets. But it's really nice and cool. It's actually been pretty much perfect conditions for running today, so I can't have any complaints. It's been lovely. Yeah. There we go, back home now. And really just to recap, just a nice little zone 2 recovery run. Like I said in the video, zone 2 is obviously quite an important part of my training. It's that 80-20 split that I spoke about. It comes recommended in quite a lot of training methods and things, and I think one of the ones that VO2 Max talks about is obviously the Jack Daniels running method, and the 80-20 splits mentioned in that quite a bit. And it does, to be honest, since I've started doing it, it has helped quite a lot. And really going through chemo upcoming, I think it's probably going to be even more important, because the ability to do intervals is probably going to be diminished as the drugs really kick in. So it is something to keep in mind. And I think just having a good aerobic base and having good efficient muscles and a good efficient cardio system is really going to help. I've got the Strava segment. I'll bring it on the screen here. Like I say, it's just short of an hour up on the of the overall moving time. Again, just short of maybe 5 miles. I think if I jump onto the heart rate now, which is, yeah, it's sort of zone 2, moderate pace, it's 82%, which is right where I want to be. And obviously there was a few little pushes. There was one push at the end to spike it up a little bit, and there was a couple of hills in the middle where I thought I'll run ahead of Jill, maybe just get a little bit of intensity in and then come back down again and meet her up. But yeah, overall, just another good, decent quality run in zone 2, really building that aerobic engine, and it puts me in good stead for a bit more training for the rest of the week. Yeah, so really I've got a little bit more intensity put in the bike this week, so I'm looking to do a good FTP builder session, which will probably be about an hour with some decent intervals. I'll have to have a look around to see how I'm going to structure it, but we'll have a look at something like that, and then maybe try and get a good hill session in the legs for running before the end of the week, and then back to the long run on Sunday. I actually have a first race which I'm looking to do, which would be quite good. It's only a 10-mile time trial, which is going to be held at Croft Circuit, and the Tri Club's putting it on. And ideally, it'd be nice if I can get somewhere under sub 30. I think that'd be a good baseline for me to start off on. And there is also, I'm thinking, if I can get the swim base training done in time, I've got about a month to get through it. There's the Windermere Triathlon coming up as well. So if when I find out a little bit more about the chemo, if that's not going to scupper the plans, and I get the opportunity to do that, and I can get some swimming training in over the next couple of weeks, we're going to look at maybe trying to enter that as a first triathlon, and that'll be a pretty cool experience to get into as well. So some cool plans coming up. I'm going to be looking to relay as things happen to us, and that with the chemo coming up and stuff, we're going to be looking to really try and focus on recording what works, what doesn't work, and if that's something you think is going to be useful to you, then please consider subscribing and following along below. If you've enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the scenery, just consider giving it a thumbs up. It all helps with the little YouTube algorithm get us a few more views, and hopefully start really building a good resource that we can get out to more people here. And really all that's left is just, I'll catch you next time, and take care of yourselves.